October 29th, 2024. Apparently, an internal letter was actually sent out to the, employees of Sony Interactive Entertainment, and they actually did make it public for everybody to be able to read. So this says an update from PlayStation Studios, Sony Interactive Entertainment, October 29, 2024. This says below is an internal email from Herman Holst, CEO, Studio Business Group, Sony Interactive Entertainment, distributed today to SIE employees. Dear team, I wanted to share some important updates from Sony Interactive Entertainment. It says we consistently evaluate our games portfolio and status of our projects to ensure we are meeting near and long-term business priorities. As part of our ongoing efforts to strengthen SIE business studios, we have had to make a difficult decision relating to two of our studios, Neon Koi and Firewalk Studios. Expanding beyond PlayStation devices and crafting engaging online experiences along our single-player games are key focal areas for us as we evolve our revenue streams. Now, I want to go ahead and pause here for like 20 seconds, okay? So, this is very interesting because the Sony, Interactive Entertainment Group has pretty much positioned itself, or I guess I would say poised to start making a lot of live service games to be able to get more money out there from the live service, income pipeline. Now they made a live service game. The game is being shut down. Another studio, Neon Koi, we don't even know what that studio is actually working on. They're also getting shut down. I think, and I know some of my audience members, you've already voiced your concerns that there's no way reviving a game like Concord would have ever worked out. I understand. But here's what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to say that the mechanics, the elements within the game, that can all be reskinned. I mean, think about the games you've played from Sony Interactive Entertainment. Think about God of War and Ragnarok. Similar game mechanics, underlying game mechanics, expounded upon, expanded. I think we're probably still going to maybe see it. They'll probably rebrand it. Maybe they'll take all that code base, give it to another team, hash it out, and then go from there. Or, like I said, the alternative is they'll basically write it off as a loss in terms of taxes. But let's keep reading this particular letter because I think it's actually very interesting. We need to be strategic, though, in bringing our games to new platforms and recognize when our games fall short of meeting player expectations. This is very interesting. I don't know if this is a signal to studios to get their act together. And I would just say everyone was seeing this game, by the way. So I don't even know what this message is. Because apparently from what we heard internally, there were conversations that this game, Concord, was supposed to be the future of PlayStation. Perhaps it was just a part of a pep talk to get the development teams to kind of, get pumped and do the job. But I don't necessarily think that this is something that you can actually, in a sense, push away from, the leadership. Although one of the creative leads from the game left even before the studio closed, I don't know exactly why they did that, because it seemed like, maybe they wanted to go ahead and change some or restructure some leadership, but ended up going to close the studio at the end of the day. Then he said, while mobile remains a priority growth area for the studio business, we are in, let me look at this here, the very early stage of our mobile efforts. To achieve success in this area, we need to concentrate on titles that are in line with PlayStation Studios' pedigree and have the potential to reach more players globally. With this refocused approach, Neon Koi will close. Wow. Okay. This is all speak. This is all like corporate speak. And its mobile action game will not be moving forward. I want to express my gratitude to everyone at Neon Koi for their hard work and endless passion to innovate. Ladies and gentlemen, this is seemingly becoming a theme over here at the PlayStation Studios. Like, the game doesn't even come out and boom, studio's gone. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's not even, say, a restructure, boom, studio's gone. By proxy, game is also gone. So I don't know how anybody can look at this and tell me that things are going fine. I mean, again, let me close my mouth. Let's keep reading because, at the end of the day, this is one of those things that you just really got to go ahead and say, all right. Now, regarding Firewalk, as announced in early September, an important update on Concord, certain aspects of Concord were exceptional. According to people who played it, they said it was actually good, mechanically it was solid. But others did not land with enough players. According to those who played it and those who didn't play it, said the game did not look appealing to players, that it was made for an audience that doesn't exist. And as for those who didn't even play it, they said, what is one more hero shooter in a saturated market? So For the most part, many of them didn't even hear about it, nor the ones that heard about it decide that they were going to even touch it, with games like Overwatch, Apex Legends, and so many others out there. And as a result, we took the game offline. We've spent considerable time these past few months exploring our options. After much thought, we've determined that the best path forward is to permanently sunset the game and close the studio. I want to thank all of Firewalk for their craftsmanship, creative spirit, and dedication. Wow. Cold. The realization continues to come into play, though, because again, this approach has been really interesting, and I think this continues to tie back to the videos that I'm making. And guys and girls, shout out to all of you, but we need to continue talking about this and making these videos, how PlayStation needs to pivot to be able to stay sustainable. Because to me, I just start seeing, Warner Brothers, they're a very good example of management that doesn't really make any sense to me. I'm a huge Batman fan, Superman fan, DC fan. And I can tell you if there's any studio, or I guess set of studios, that has eaten, the brunt of mismanagement this particular year, it is the studios, or at least some of them, under Warner Brothers. Think about how a game like Gotham Knights, that game did not get held down properly so that they could get the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One release. I think that was also something that, affected the game at the end of the day. Their marketing was not solid. They didn't seem like they wanted to spend enough money on marketing. So they left the developers to pretty much do the marketing, of which, after I played the game, after so many hours, I was thinking, why did they not even use footage like this to actually market Gotham Knights? Like, bro, look at me, like gamer dad, school teacher. I'm slamming on this game. And when we saw the footage of the game in terms of combat, it wasn't even the strongest that you could see. Right? When there were other cool things that could be shown, somewhere, somehow, nobody thought it necessary to show some of the coolest things that the game actually had, attached to it. And so these, in my opinion, are some of the challenges that you're going to see in terms of all of this stuff. And with Warner Brothers, theirs is just a very interesting case at the end of the day. I can tell you that we started to see this kind of trend with Warner Brothers a while back. Everything, both on the movie side, on the video game side. Now, I'm not saying Sony has gone down that route. I'm not saying PlayStation has gone down that route, but this is not indicative of inspiring confidence, what it is that we're seeing. Another thing, the PvP first-person shooter genre is a competitive space that's continually evolving. In defense of PlayStation, this is very true. In Warner Brothers' case, the superhero space literally only has Spider-Man just holding it down and running free with everything while they pretty much can't find their bearing. And unfortunately, we did not hit our targets with this title. We'll take the lesson learned from Concord and continue to advance our live service. Now, this is very interesting. There's something I wanted to point out here. I know none of this is easy news to hear, particularly with colleagues and friends departing SIE. Both decisions were given serious thought, and ultimately we feel they're the right ones to strengthen the organization. Concord and Firewalk were home to many talented individuals, and we'll work to find placement for some of those impacted within our global community of studios where possible. I'm a big believer in the benefits of embracing creative experimentation and developing new IP. However, growing through sustainable financials, especially in a challenged economic environment, is crucial. Gamers, I always told y'all that PlayStation and Nintendo too are not immune from economic and fiscal factors. Xbox is in the exact same boat. If they mess around, they will find out fast. This is exactly what's going on. The whole life equation is actually being played out. You mess around, you find out real quick. There's no bouncing back in some instances, in some situations. You mess around so much, and then exponentially, the finding out continues to grow. And I think this is what the leadership has not taken into account. You're bringing a game into the market and you notice that the market is changing. What do you do? How do you pivot? You really need to start doing more user testing, and you need to find where a unique point actually hits with your game. That's what I'd do. I mean, no one asked me and no one's paying me the big bucks, but that's exactly what I would do. Why? Because we're playing the ground game. We're reading comments from gamers. We're hearing from gamers. We're watching YouTube videos. Do they even have a team that actually frisks the internet to check what people are thinking about potential games and potential, titles that are similar? That's the way to go. The so-called talk about toxic positivity, I think it probably drowned out all the reality from the whole conversation, that nobody could probably even say anything and say, yo, do you not see the way people are mad at Overwatch Part 2? Nobody said that in the whole 8 years of developing this game. This is crazy. While today is a difficult day, he finishes up, there is much to look forward to. in the months ahead from this studio business group and our teams. I remain confident that we're building a resilient and capable organization driven by creating unforgettable entertainment experiences for our players. Thank you for your continued support. He said something about exploring alternate platforms. He said this right here. Expanding beyond PlayStation devices. This is one. I don't know if you guys know, in the internal leaks, the one that, is not being published to a lot of people, because I sat and read it. This is one of the things that you got to see. In fact, if you actually Google it, if you go ahead and look around and, maybe look for the PlayStation leaks and some of the charts, you see one that actually showed their PC pipeline and showed the mobile pipeline. I think this is what's being said here. Now, some people are going to probably jump the gun and say it's possibly Xbox. I wouldn't go that far, even though I'm the guy who made the video publicly and said, you know what, maybe one day we're going to see a PlayStation game on Xbox in terms of Spider-Man or whatever, even though we already have one, which is MLB The Show. I don't think that's what they're talking about. But let's not exclude it from the possibility. PlayStation seems like they need to get their act together. And so when you think about this particular letter from the layoffs, I just can't help but think how all of this is just done in corporate speak that has left people without employment. Maybe some will be able to get employment elsewhere, but they'll still be kind of scarred. Their studio closed down. They got employment. They're there's a little shakiness over there, but then they're going to be sad from seeing colleagues actually leave. And PlayStation ought to be blamed for that, because they did not do the work to be able to get this game to land in a market that already had its challenges. Thanks for watching the video. Appreciate you guys' time and audience. Hopefully we'll talk pretty soon in another one. Peace out.